All right, on your Volvo P2, V70, XC70, S60, XC90, these little parts, less than $5 a piece, can save you thousands of dollars in repairs later. Check these out and get them replaced on your car. Let's get under here and see what I'm talking about. This little clip is a Volvo 3064 5083, and it costs less than $2 each. I bought 4 of them. I think there's 2 of them that go on the XC90, 2 of them for the XC70, and then the V70 gets a very similar clip, but it's supposedly smaller, and it just costs almost twice as much. But the funny thing is, this little clip, it just sits, it goes into the subframe, just inside of the right front passenger wheel, and there's 1 or 2 of them that hold the power steering lines, and I believe possibly a fuel line, into its place so that they don't move when you activate your steering. So when you turn your steering wheel, when these things go bad, and they have gone bad, I guarantee it, they've broken or popped out of place, your lines are constantly moving. And wait until you see what I discovered when I was repairing this car. Because remember, I did all the work on this car only 2,500 miles ago, and it took almost a little over 2 months for these to show up. But anyway, wait till you see what's under here. It scared the crap out of me, and I immediately put a Band-Aid on it and ordered these as quick as possible. All right, well, it was 2,500 miles ago that I replaced the seals on the valve covers, the timing cover, and then did the lower pan seal on the oil pan down here. And that is the driest I've ever seen it. It's still a little weepy back here, so there's still oil that's coming down from above that had leaked before. As you can see, it is really nearly impossible to get into this engine and get up in there and clean it, so I just got to wait for it all to worm away. And then the other thing I was worried about was right here, the weep hole, and it is dry. I'm really excited to see this. I thought it would be more wet than this after 2,500 miles. It's the driest I've ever seen it, so thumbs up on that. Back to the clips. So right here, this is our, I believe this is steel. This is our lower subframe on the car. Holds the engine in it's the cradle that the engine sits in, and all the suspension mounts to the car. But this is that plastic clip right there. But look what can happen. So right now, see, I'm back here with my right hand back here. I can wiggle this. Every time you do your steering, this thing is wiggling under the pressure of the hydraulics moving within it, because it is not firmly held in place. And that's because this one, it doesn't even do its job anymore. And then right back here, let me see if I can change hands. Right there, where my finger is touching, is a missing one. There's supposed to be a second one right here holding these two into place. And this, I believe, is aluminum. Aluminum is soft. Steel is very hard. When these two interact, this one loses. And remember, it's moving all the time. Every time you put some steering movement in here, there's pressure changes happening in these on these hydraulic lines for the power steering, going between the pump and the rack. And aluminum loses when it rubs against steel. Oh my God, YouTube, jump down there, hit subscribe. Hot Mamacita, she's not buying this anymore. She thinks I'm going crazy loco. She doesn't know who I'm talking to. Jump down there, hit subscribe. We gotta monetize this. All right, so here's what I did. I cut open a hose, and I think it was actually one of the hoses that came off of this car, actually. I just cut off pieces of the rubber and zip tied it around that coupling head. And then I stuck another one. I had zip tied it so it stayed behind this plate, because this aluminum shaft was rubbing against this mount for an under tray. So I'm going to clip these off, and I'm going to show you. The worst place I saw was right there, but this one also scared me. But this one's terrifying. All right, YouTube, so I'm trying to get this oriented and lit up with a little light that you can see it. You see the right side of that? That aluminum coupling is supposed to be round. That entire right side is gone. You can see that face right there just gradually wearing away. So if I would allow that to continue to happen, eventually there's a hole in this hydraulic hose tube assembly for the power steering line, and that's just going to leak power steering fluid, and the power steering will stop functioning. And then, I mean, I'm having a hard time showing you this on camera, That goes up to a power steering rack. Let me turn around. The power steering rack is running across the top of this member. It's mounted on the top of it. And as you can tell, I can't even show it to you because the V8 has no spacing to even really see it. So how am I going to get that line, when it ruptures, out of there with all of this engine and everything in place? Yeah, nearly impossible. Just to give you a reference, let me back away so you can see what we're dealing with. There's no space in here whatsoever to get to the top of that subframe. There's no access. So just for grins, when I was looking up the part numbers on Vita for the XC90, we have a V70 and we have an XC70. When I was looking up the part numbers for them, I just glanced at the part numbers for these two hydraulic lines on the power steering for the XC90 V8. Do you know what those cost to replace? The hose and tube assemblies? One of them's over 500, the other one's over 400. Just the part from FCP Euro. I can't imagine what the total cost to replace that is, because I can't do that myself. I don't have the ability to drop that subframe completely. I don't have a lift. Yeah, I can barely get under there and show you photos in my little garage here. So these clips are super easy to replace. It's my recommendation. You do your next oil change, you grab a hold of those power steering lines, and if they are moving, check to see where they're rubbing, because they will wear out and they will rupture, and you're looking at thousands of dollars as a replacement on those lines. Just change the plastic little clips. All right, see any issues? New, old. All the tabs are gone. This bottom one wasn't holding anything, so this was the line that was moving with the rubbing, and it's missing its little tab. And then this one up here, the smaller one on the top, it was also moving a little bit, and they're just stretched out. And what happens is, probably when they're doing the subframe replacements, these get popped out, just so you can wiggle those lines that are along the way and get to those bolts that hold the lower control arms onto the subframe. And when they do that, they just break them off, because these things get old and brittle from all the heat and age. And it's a $2 part, $1.79 each for this one. So there it is. It's brand new. It's super easy. I just stuck a screwdriver in and popped it off. I mean, it doesn't even have its top anymore. It's so easy to replace. And hopefully when I get these on there, and not a lot of space to maneuver, it will lock in those lines. Check it out. Nothing worth doing is ever easy. This is only what, these were $1.79 a piece, so we're talking less than $5 on 2 clips. Not easy to get in place. These lines don't want to move a lot. So definitely when you're down here doing your oil change, or when you're doing your engine mounts and you're lifting all this stuff, all this engine up and away, getting more space, it makes a lot of sense to do these while you're down here. But I got this one into place first. Got it up in there. And then this one was much harder, because once this one was into place, they had to snap into their holder, and then they moved very little. I had to flex them with a screwdriver up in here to get some leverage to get this bracket to pop into place, into its hole. It is all there now. And when I put my hand up here, this is where it was rubbing and wearing. Now it doesn't move. Very, 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 very little. I got my hand on it, I'm moving it, and there, but 2 of them in place, nothing's moving. This is up away from this little bracket mount. It is not touching, nothing's touching back here. And I was looking at this a second ago. You can see there, yeah, they are not touching. I'll back away. Right there is where they used to rub. I still think I'm going to put my little pieces of rubber in there, the old hose material, and just make sure that nothing's touching. But this is moving much, much less. I can't even get these to rock. They barely move now. Yeah, maybe that'll improve my power steering too. Who knows? But at least I know I'm not going to spend $1,000 on parts and thousands of dollars on labor to get onto the top of that subframe. All right, well, quick update. I'm going with the, if you want to hold your pants up, you can wear a belt or you can wear suspenders, but if you really want to keep them up, you wear both. So what I did is I got 2 new clips in here. These lines are not moving. They move very little because they are properly locked in place now. But I also put back my little rubber hose sections and zip ties. I just got to clip off my little ends here, 2 on this side, 2 right here. Clip those off because if there is any movement, I just want it to be rubbing on that rubber old hose segment rather than aluminum rubbing against steel, because aluminum's going to lose, and aluminum is very expensive to replace in this application. So literally a $3.79 each, so that's less than $4. I can do that simple math in my noggin. Less than $4 to save probably $3,000 to $4,000 worth of parts and labor replacing the high pressure and low pressure lines when they wear out for your power steering assembly. Much simpler. Do that. Next time you're underneath your car, take a look at those clips. I guarantee your power steering lines are wiggling and moving everywhere. I do remember when I saw this, working on this car this past summer, back in August, probably two and a half, almost 3 years ago, Volvo Brett said to me on the V70 when I was working on the power steering pump, he said to me, check the clips. And I kind of forgot about it until I saw these, and I don't even know how I noticed that, but I stuck my hand up there and felt that it was not round, and it scared the crap out of me. So kudos to Volvo Brett. I'm just showing you where it's at. You better be looking at these. Matter of fact, just order some of those clips and just have them sitting around. I'll probably order more just to have them in stock and replace them. They're not easy to get in. Everything's tight, hard to get your fingers in there, but you can do it. Easy enough. Let's get the XC90 back out of the garage. We'll pull the V70 in and see what it looks like. All right, what do you think's happening underneath the V70 2.4 turbo Ragnar? Front wheel drive only, much more space, same type of a subframe. Power steering's a little bit different layout, but what do you think is gonna be happening in here? This is a 2002, so it's 23 years old. Let's take a look. All right, I apologize for the strobe LED, but this car, you can actually see the steering rack, the power steering assembly. So you got the hydraulic ram going back and forth, helping you with your power steering. It's sitting on top of the subframe, but it's still a steel subframe and aluminum lines. So here's where the front one is. And you can just see it's doing nothing. That line is completely moving around. I don't even know what this looks like, a cable. I'm not sure what that one is. It's small, but I got this one moving everywhere. This clip is doing absolutely nothing. And then back here, let's see, this clip it's sort of in, but it's been broken on where it goes into the subframe. So I don't really have things. This is really weird. What is this cable for, and why is it too short? That's really weird. We'll play with that, see if it's supposed to run differently. I have a feeling it's supposed to be in this bottom one. Anyway, this one does not rub against the frame. It's still far enough out. Doesn't have the spacing issues, but we're still going to replace these clips. They are not doing diddly squat. Almost able to pull that up with my fingertips. Let's pop out the screwdriver. All right, well, I popped them, and here's the broken ones. The old gnarlies, the little tabs are missing. This one's completely broken. There's what the new one's supposed to look like. So let me spin it so it looks the same. There's my new one. And on the V70, it is a 9485754, and they were $3.29 each, and this car has two of them. And yeah, they're smaller than the XC90 and the XC70 clips, but it's the same concept. And presto changeo, just like that, by putting in new clips into the holes, everything is locked in place, nothing is moving, and I was able to get this line to go into its right places. 1, 2, 3, and there's another 2 more hidden up here in the front. I think this is a line going to the gas tank or to the purge canister, or the vapor canister for the purge valve. I'm not really sure, but it seems to be feeding into the vacuum lines on part of the PCV system. So it's hard to see underneath in there where this is exactly going, but I think this runs back. It goes up above the subframe right there and then runs in a track heading backwards. So that's got to be a tube going back to the gas tank or the vapor canister back there for the fuel vapors. So that's my guess. Comment down below and rip me to pieces if I'm wrong, because I really don't know. And then up in here you can see a couple more clips where everything is clipped into the right places now. So yeah, just get some of those on hand. But you can see right here when they do the lower control arms, it's really hard to get to these bolts, so they snap these lines out of the way, or they might do that to get better access to these 2 bolts. And when they do that, they break these because these get brittle, and then nothing will hold back in place. But you can see now, nothing is moving whatsoever. No wiggles, no nothing. It is locked in place. Super easy fix before there's $1,000 worth of repair. All right, so if you got a Volvo P2, S60, V70, XC70, XC90, S80 I think is a P2 for a little bit as well. So if you've got one of those, get some of those clips for your power steering lines, relock them into your subframe, because it's going to destroy those assembly lines or hydraulic assembly lines that run the power steering, and that is a wicked expensive replacement. A lot easier, spend $5, put 2 clips in and get everything locked back down next time you're under there. Definitely next time you're doing the lower control arms or the engine mounts, because you're going to be able to lift that up and get a lot more access. It's difficult to get new clips in there because you only have so much space to wiggle the lines, but it is doable. And once they're on, they're locked in and they're not moving. Way safer. In 10 days, I think it is, the XC70 will be back in the household, and we'll put 2 clips. Actually, I think it only had 1 clip, but I have 2 available just in case. But we will put clips on that one as well, and we'll finish this video series when that one makes it down in about 10 days. So far, so good. All right, the Volvo XC70 Lagatha, the battle wagon, has returned from campus. So I got 2 of these extra clips. We're going to pull that one in and replace those because I'm assuming they're bad and wiggly power steering lines. But I want really quick, just want to show you, how do you know what clips you need to get in order ahead of time? Because you can't just take them off, because then your lines are going to be moving all over the place, making the problem worse. And these little clips don't have any part numbers on them. There's not a part number found anywhere on them. So how I did this is in my diagnostic laptops with Vita software, and this is the diagram for actually the XC70 that I pulled up. Inside, you go through information parts. I went to power steering, and then went into the power steering pump, and it has the parts diagram, and they are these clips right there. It is a number 12 on this diagram. Where's number 12? There's no number 12. Wonderful. Hang on, it was number 12 on these clips. Why is there no number 12 in the thing? There is a 11 and no 12. I found these somewhere. Maybe I didn't use Vita for the XC70, but when I did find them on a parts diagram, I think I had gone to Volvo's online version for Volvo North America parts. And when I went to go, I got the part number from a diagram that had a 12 on it. When I went to order them from FCP Euro, it said that that part number had been replaced with a different part number, which just happened to be the same one that's on the XC90, because these are bigger than what's on the V70, as we saw 10 days ago. So that's how I did it. You're going to have to order them ahead of time and do some research, but that's where I found them. Let's get that car pulled into the shop and replace those 2 clips. Well, just what do you think we found on the XC70? It does have 2 of those clips. I already took a peek. There's an oil leak. There's more repair videos coming. But let me show you what I found underneath the XC70. All right, I'm just going to let the old pixel adjust to the light. So here is where a clip is supposed to be. There's the nub going into the subframe, but the clip is gone. It has left the group chat. This one is wiggling all over the place. Here is the rear one. It's right there. This is the, I think this is the evap line. It's supposed to be in the small clip. It's sitting in this big one. Move that back there. This is all wiggling around. It's doing nothing. It's not holding anything in place. And then what's really interesting is if I grab this metal line, can you hear that? It's actually hitting the engine mount plate right here that rides on the top of the subframe. Mounts to the top of it, and the engine's laying down on top of it, or mounted into the top of it. It's actually hitting that. You hear that? That's going to damage that line. So 1, 2 clips. They are the bigger ones like the XC90 had. Easy enough. And then I'll change these real fast, and I'll show you what's going on here with some oil leakage. All right, just a quick comparison. This is on the XC70. They popped off super easy. Access on this car is nice and easy. This was the front one. Again, this was disconnected and broken. The bottom 2/3 of it are missing. This was just stuck in the subframe. And this one, this was the rear one. So yeah, it broke a little bit. It was a little bit better shape, but when I popped it off the line, it quickly snapped. So it did have that in place, but without the front one doing anything, this was just free. It was whacking around. That is what they're supposed to look like. Yep, and for the XC70 and the XC90, again, it is a 306-450-83. There's 2 on each. So yeah, let's get these mounted back in there. I'll wedge them into place and lock that line down, and we'll start looking for where that oil leak's coming from. All right, my apologies for the stroby Harbor Freight LED light, but it definitely lights things up better. So I just unclipped along the front up here, along the front edge of the subframe, this evap line that goes back through. And I can show you, I put my 2 new clips in and then run that hydraulic power steering line in. It is now pulled down and away from the engine mount. Let's see if I can get you in there to see that. Yep, see there's a gap up there now. It doesn't make any clanging noises. I can't wiggle it. I can barely get those clips to move. They'll probably break at some point. I'll just order more and have them on stock this time. And then this evap line just has some clips. It just clips into the power steering line there, clips into the bottom, and then 2 more clips along the front of the subframe. And it is out of the way. That is super easy. But I promised you I'd talk about this. Look at that. I got an oil leak. Something is going on. It's leaking up this way. It's up in the top, and if I had to make a guess, that is my PCV oil breather box system, and I don't know why, because I just replaced that a couple years ago. So something has come loose or something is blocked up in here, and it is leaking on the front. It's not leaking enough that it's losing enough oil to have low oil or anything like that. We've checked it every time. Although last time I changed the oil, it was weird. I did not have a Volvo OEM or IPD or whatever, Melee, whatever they are, oil filter in it. I had an STP because I did a quick oil change and I just ran to AutoZone and that's what I had. When I pulled that oil filter out, it dripped oil forever, way longer than I've ever seen it do. So something is definitely going on. It had more oil up above and was just dripping down through super slowly when I pulled that filter off. So not sure why it did that. Chime down below if you got any ideas, but I got something going on up here, so I got more work ahead of me. Gotta pull an intake off or get in there and visually see what the hell is happening. All right, super quick, before I look up anything in there and try to get a mirror there and figure out, because the breather box is underneath this intake, I can get a mirror in here and kind of see with some light. But before I do that, let's just see how bad the PCV system is. I'm hoping it's just one of the lines is cracked on the oil breather box that puts the oil back into the block, because all that was cleaned out 2 years ago. It shouldn't be a problem yet. So maybe something just popped off. Let's go ahead. Let's do the glove test. When I start this car up, it should suck that in slightly. If it blows this up, we know the PCV is completely bad. All right, good news is it's got a little bit of suction. A little bit, not much. It's definitely not blowing the glove up like a balloon, so that's great news. But it's not sucking in a lot either. I would have expected it to suck in more than that. I can kind of feel it. All right, so it looks like I get to pull some parts off to get a better look. It is definitely leaking. The side of the oil breather box has oil on it on this side where I know the return lines go into the block. So that's part of the problem. I need to get in there and figure out if just one of the little lines popped off or what. AI says that that's supposed to be gentle vacuum, so that's pretty much what we had. It wasn't puffing up, so I have a feeling it's just one of the return lines that feeds back into the block has just popped off or cracked or something. It's just leaking some oil that's supposed to feed back into the system. Moral of the story, replace these before they ruin your power steering lines. This is a super simple, that's less than $4 worth of parts that got replaced versus $800 or $900 worth of power steering lines. So quickly get under your car next time you're doing an oil change and change these out. Figure out which ones you need, order them, have them on hand. I'm going to order more just to have them on stock because I know they break and they get brittle. All right, YouTube, that's an easy repair video, although leading to some more repairs on the XC70, but it's home for a week from campus, so I got time to do it. So we'll pull that apart today. Take a look in there. I also want to replace the driver's seat. I've had a seat in here for a year. But I was supposed to, last November, I think, November, December, I purchased a seat and never got it put into the car because I was planning on doing it this summer, but something else took all of my time. That took all of my time. Volvo V8, that was an unexpected project, but it seems like the channels love that car. So anyway, we will change that driver's seat. We will do some repairs on this car while it is home. We'll do what we can. If not, we'll do it during winter break when it's nice and freezing cold in the garage. Yeah, if I can do it, you can do it. Be safe out there, YouTube. Have fun.